Welcome to the FMC Lounge, everyone. I'm your host, Joe for show, and in this video, we're going to be covering my updated Freyna guide. I will be talking about mutant sales, arcade tuning, external component cores, the builds I use, and the weapons. Do me a favor, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. It would really help with the YouTube algorithm. I would appreciate it a lot. Now, enough of the yapping. Let's jump straight into the video. Now, Freyna didn't get a buff on July 3rd like some other Descendants, so there's no reason for us to go over any patch notes or anything. So we're just going to go straight into the build. First build is going to revolve around Contagion. If you don't know what this does, when you kill an enemy, it's going to inflict room 0 trauma, and basically this just extends to the next group of enemies that spawns, and it just goes on forever and ever. It's like infinite as long as there's enemies around. Now here are the mods. Go ahead and get your screenshots. We are running 4 damage mods, focus on tech amplification, and toxic amplification. We are using power increase instead of focus on toxic, and the reason why, if you don't know, this power increase is going to give us a third different category of damage. If you notice, this is tech skill power modifier, this is toxic skill power, and then this is skill power. It's its own separate damage. It's not the same as toxic skill power, but this is going to allow us to do more damage. We're running 2 range mod, 1 HP mod, decimators for a little bit more damage, and then 2 cooldown mods. You could actually take this HP mod off and put something else on if you want. I'm not sure what to put on. Some people run MP collector. I feel like it's not needed. Mana never been an issue for me and my Freyna. I feel like mana drops like candy. It doesn't matter what activity you're doing. But yeah, if you want, you can take this HP off and throw on something else, whatever you feel like. Another mobbing build you could do, you can replace Contagion for Venom Synthesis. If you don't know what this does, this is going to give you movement speed. It's going to completely get rid of your third ability where instead of throwing a puddle, it's going to leave toxic puddles when you run by, and this is going to give you more movement speed, so it can help you keep up with the bunnies and stuff. This is something else you could use. I'm not going to go over whole build. Everything's the same. Nothing changes at all except for the Descendant mod. For the reactor, we are using a tech skill power boost ratio and skill cooldown. The 2 stats at the bottom are the best ones you could get. It's gonna give you, the best cooldown and the most damage. Tech gives you more damage than toxic, so try your best to get tech if you want. For our component cores, we're rocking the plague set. We're using this for the tech skill power. For set kind of sucks. For your last dagger, you are losing a little bit of damage, but it's okay. You're getting that extra 43% toxic skill power on top of that tech skill power. Your skills are going to do a lot more damage, so this is why we run this instead of Slayer set. For the external component cores, we're rocking HP and defense, HP and defense, HP, defense, HP. You put a defense here, I just haven't yet. Our weapon of choice is the Secret Garden. Now I use this as a stat stick. What you're going to see, these mods and cores and substats are before the recent buff, so I haven't tested the new Secret Garden buff, whatever, but here are the cores and the substats, and then here are the mods I use. Just remember, this is before Secret Garden got a buff, so I still need to go over and see like what the buff did and everything for Secret Garden. Our other weapon is Last Dagger. I use this to help, finish the yellow bars if I need to, and depending at the end of 40% dungeon or Sigma or something. But here are the cores and substats. And then here are the mods. You would change this element to whatever the enemy's weak to. And then our last weapon is Smithereen. Here are the cores. Here are the substats. Fire attack you don't need. I have fire attack because I use this shotgun for Ice Maiden with Serena. You probably go crit hit damage instead over fire attack. Here are the mods. Remember, you change this element to whatever the enemy's weak to. For our version reinforcement, I run Adrenaline Rush for more movement speed. You can run this for if you need mana, or you can take one of these off and throw on HP if you want more HP or something. And then this last one, you use whatever the enemy's weak to. If you don't want to use any of these, you could take it off and use this one, which is going to help give you skill cooldown a bit. It's not necessary, but something. For our arcade tuning, this is the tree route I ran. I made sure I got the cooldown, the enhanced skill power. For our mutant cell, I went with poison vulnerability just so I could get a little bit more skill power. We're already getting enough toxic skill power from our mods and our component set, so this is why I went with poison vulnerability instead of toxic cohesion. And for our last extra points, I spent it on a little bit of HP and a little bit of MP recovery modifier. Here's a quick little gameplay of me showing how this build works and everything. For our next build, it's going to be our bossing build. It's mainly used for all the hard mode Colossus bosses. This build can actually be used for Ice Maiden, but I'm not going to be covering Ice Maiden. She's leaving on August 7th, so there's no reason to. But anyway, here are the mods. Go ahead and get your screenshots. We are running our 4 damage mods. Instead of running like a focus on toxic or anything, we went for more skill power here and more skill power modifier. Now we are getting a negative penalty in skill cooldown. It's gonna make our skill cooldown last super long, as you can see, 200 seconds. But if all this amount of skill power damage we're gonna have, the enemies are going to die instantly, so we won't ever have to worry about using our 4th again. We're rocking spear and shield just for a little bit more skill power, overwhelming shield, and increased shield and battle stamina. Reason why we went overwhelming shield route, so when you use this mod for your second ability, it consumes HP, and well, using overwhelming shield, our HP is going to be at 1, so we're going to have a lot more shield. So this is how we're going to counteract that, and we won't be squishy. We're using dangerous ambush just in case, you know, when the enemies get knocked down, you do more damage. And we're using skill duration. This helps us be able to shoot all the bullets that we have. Our last mod is skill duration. This one's very important because with your 4th ability, if you don't have this, you will not be able to use all the bullets in your weapon. Some will be left over, so make sure you run this skill duration. For our reactor, it's the same as last one. The only thing that changed is we got additional skill attack when attacking Colossus instead of skill cooldown. This is going to allow us to do the most damage possible. And then for our external component cores, it's the same as before. We're rocking the 4-piece plague set for that extra tech and that toxic skill power damage. For our external component cores, you know, HP and defense, HP and defense, HP and defense, HP and defense. For our weapon of choice, you only need Python. You don't need anything else. If you notice, I don't have no cores on the gun because the cores don't transfer over to the 4th ability. For example, let's just say I have fire rate on my cores, right? Well, that fire rate is not going to transfer over to my 4th ability. So that's why I just have no cores. I use this as a stat stick, and the stat that we're using it for is the rounds per magazine. That 12% is going to give us more ammo in our 4th ability than if you didn't have it. So if you're going to use this, make sure you roll for the magazine first. Try to get 12%. Now here are the mods. You only need Firing Fiesta, these 2 magazine mods, and the fire rate mod. All these mods here will transfer over to your 4th ability. This is just extra stuff. You don't need to equip this if you don't want to. This just helps with the reload to make it easier for the Firing Fiesta, and it just helps, you know, your hit rate be very small. But you don't need these 3 mods. You only need these 4 right here. And then the other weapons, it's the same as before. We're not going to cover them because the boss dies literally with the Python and our 4th ability. For our inversion reinforcement, to be honest, you don't even need anything. You don't need this because the boss is going to die in literally a few seconds. You don't need this because the boss is going to die in a few seconds. And same thing here, like you literally don't need any of this. So just throw on whatever you want or use nothing. Our arche tuning, it's kind of similar to our skill power tree. The only thing the difference is we're not running these 2 right here, and we didn't use the range here. We went for the additional skill attack in Colossus. We also didn't get this cooldown. It's not needed. We went this route up here just for a little bit more skill duration to help with our 4th ability, so we can use all the ammo in it. And then for our mutant cell, we went with the arcane efficiency. When you hit an enemy with your skill attack, you're gonna get increased skill power damage. Is gonna make our 4th ability do a little bit more damage. Now right now I'll show a quick little gameplay of me using this build. Now for our next build, it's another bossing build. It's going to revolve around venom injection. This build was for pubs Colossus when you play with other players, not solo. The only thing is nobody really does that anymore. I feel like the bosses just fall over, but in the future, if this becomes more relevant, well, this is the build for it. So here are the mods. Go ahead and get your screenshots. Kind of same as before. We're running our 4 damage mod with our power increase. We have our 1 HP mod. We're still using overwhelming shield and increased shield. Our 2 cooldowns and a multi-talented. We're using the overwhelming shield still because of the venom injections. We went with the 2 cooldown mods because we want our 4th ability low as possible. We want to spam this, and even though it says 28.9 seconds, this will be much lower because of the multi-talented, and I'll show you how this works and everything. Because, you know, when you use a dimension, you get more skill cooldown, and if you notice, our second ability is dimension. So I'll show you how you could get this much more lower than 28.9. For our reactor, it's the same as the last boss one, you know, additional skill attack and tech. And then for our starter components, the same, you know, we're rocking 4-piece plague sets for that extra tech and that toxic skill power. And the first standard component cores, HP and defense, HP and defense, HP and defense, HP and defense. For our weapon of choice, you're still using the Python. I'm not rocking no cores. Again, this is a stat stick weapon. Just make sure you want the 12% rounds magazine. And then here are the mods. Again, you only need these 4 mods right here. You do not need these. And I'll show you how I use the Fire Fiesta against the bosses in a minute. And then we also still use the last dagger just in case if we somehow mess up our timing and our fourth ability is going to take a little bit longer to come back. So here are the cores and substats, and then here are the mods. Again, you would change this to whatever the enemy is weak to. And then here's our smithereen. Here are the cores, and here are the substats. Remember, you don't use fire and attack. You want crit hit damage. I went fire and attack because I use this shotgun for Serena and Ice Maiden. And then here are the mods. You would change these to whatever the enemy is weak to. Now for our version reinforcement, so we're running void resistant neurostimulation so we get some more MP back, because we are going to be spamming our fourth ability. For our last one, you change it to whatever the enemy is weak to for your last dagger, just in case if you mess up your timing with your fourth ability. Now for our arcade tuning, it's still going to be the same. Only thing you would change is you would want to get rid of these 3 ranges and put it right here. I'm just too lazy to do that. And then for our mutant cell, we're still using arcade efficiency, where, you know, we hit our boss with our skill, we're gonna get a little bit more skill power damage. So it's kind of the same as our first build. Just make sure you change these 3 range mod for this, because you don't need a range for bossing. You want more damage. So how to get this cooldown much more lower, what you're gonna have to do is, you know, pop your second ability and then pop your fourth ability. And as soon as you pop your fourth, you want to cancel your second ability. And then when you pay attention to that cooldown, right when that cooldown gets really close to end, you're going to pop your second ability again. And then if you notice, look, it's on a 11-second cooldown instead of the 28 seconds. And then that's how you're going to be able to spam this your fourth ability more often. And the way this Firing Fiesta works is, make sure, you know, you want to shoot your gun and then reload and then activate your fourth ability. And if you notice, look at the ammo, it's not going down. It's barely just started now. And with the help of that duration, you know, you'll be able to fire almost all the shots. And if you're worried about that extra ammo not being used, then just take off an HP mod and throw on another duration mod, and that will help you, you know, guarantee get rid of all the ammo when you're using your fourth ability. Now for our next build, it's going to be another bossing build. This time it's going to be a gun bossing build, and it's going to revolve around venom injection. Go ahead, get your screenshots. Now we're using venom injection to constantly heal ourselves. This also gives yourself, you know, replenishes your max shield. That's how we're going to take advantage of this. Now we're rocking 2 cooldown mods. We're not rocking the other cooldown mod. We're only using this one. We want a little bit more HP so we get more max shield. We're also using enlightenment for a little bit more max MP, because this does consume MP. And we're rocking overwhelming shield, HP mod, another HP mod, 2 shield mods, and a shot focus, because it's all about the guns. You know, we want a little bit more gun damage. For this last mod slot, you can put whatever you think you can find that would help make the build better. For your reactor, it doesn't matter the mounting type, skill power boost ratio, or the element of reactor. You just want to make sure you have skill cost and skill cooldown the bottom stat. Those will kind of help you get your, you know, your first ability timer a little bit lower, but it's not really necessary. And the skill cost will help, you know, your second ability take less MP away. For our external component cores, we're gonna be rocking this 2-piece set for the skill cost, so we lose less MP. And then we're rocking the shell crush just for the X% fire rate. For our weapon of choice, it's any weapon that's probably going to be in the meta. Last dagger right now is our meta, so here are our cores and substats. Here are our mods. Again, you change this element to whatever the boss is weak to. Here's our smithereen, here's the cores, and here are the substats. Remember, you don't rock fire attack, you switch it to crit hit damage. I have fire attack. I use this gun for Ice Maiden with Serena. Here are the mods. You change this element to whatever the boss is weak to. And right now I haven't fully tested the Fallen Hope. I'm still trying to you know, catalyze it, whatever. So I'll let y'all know in the future if this gun is much more better after the recent buff, and if it helps with the gunning build. For our inversion reinforcement, we are running void resistance, so we take a little bit less damage against bosses. Whatever the boss is weak to, that's the element you're going to use here. And then if you're using a multi-hit weapon, you want to use strike point amplification. If you're not using a multi-hit weapon, you want to use the ammo system so you could get faster reload time. And then for our arcade tuning, we went with this tree. This is our mutant cell right here, is how we're going to do more damage with our weapon with our first ability. This is why I try to have it on low cooldown. The enemy is going to have 50% defense resistance lowered, so we're going to do more damage with our weapons. And also I went with the multi-hit route Again, if you're not using a multi-hit weapon, you would take some of these off, and then you would just go up here and get more firearm damage and a crit hit rate and all that. Now here's the little gameplay, me showing you how you heal yourself with build. Let me see if I could do it real quick. So we'll take these mods off, right? We're at 5A shields. Now let's equip those mods back if we could do it quick enough. Let me see, where's it at? All right, weighing the scales and increase shield. And then if you look, when we pop our second ability, look at our shield health going up by almost 1,000, 1,200 every time, 1,400 every time. If you need a reactor farm for Freyna, check the pin comment down below. I'll have a YouTube short showing you where you can farm Freyna reactor. Well, that's gonna be it for the video. Hopefully this guide helps you decide on what kind of build you want to make for Freyna and all that. On that note, I'll catch you on next video.